Well, hello and welcome to the e-commerce podcast. Oh yes, your favorite e-commerce podcast on the waves of the internet. Slightly presumptuous, but hey, why not? Let's start off, slightly optimistic. My name is Matt Edmondson, and this is a show all about helping you deliver e-commerce wow. And to help us do just that, I am chatting with Caulen Foster from Brainpower about how to acquire more customers at a lower cost and increase the all-important LTV. We are not talking about affiliate marketing or SEO, just want to point that out. But before we get into that conversation, a warm welcome to all our new listeners that are joining us this week. If you haven't done so already, let me encourage you to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts from, or just follow us on YouTube if you're watching the old video there. It's always great to connect with new folks. You can reach me on any social media channel, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. Occasionally I use, although it's X now, but mainly Instagram and LinkedIn. Reach out, just search for Matt Edmondson. Let me know what you think of the show. I would really love to hear it. And of course, if you haven't done so already, then do subscribe to the newsletter, because we send you all the links, all the show notes. They come straight to your inbox, totally for free. And I'm going to start throwing a few little extra thoughts in those newsletters to make them a little bit more interesting. That's all coming soon, so you're not going to want to miss it. Do check that out at ecommercepodcast.net. That's our website. That's where you can see all the past catalogue of episodes, ecommercepodcast.net. But let's talk about today's show, shall we? That's why we're all here. Caulen, the brain behind Brainpower, skyrocketed from hotel lobby huddles to leading a 22-strong crew, mastering the digital seas with over 100 million in D2C revenues. Now, with 12 years of navigating the digital depths, he's a wizard in winning new customers and crafting compelling copy. Now, he's not just riding the waves. Yeah. Oh, check this out. He's not just riding the waves. He's creating tsunamis in direct-to-consumer growth and making a heck of a splash with $13 million in acquisitions. So, Caulen, welcome to the show, man. Great to have you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great after hearing your intro from me. I mean, I don't know if I've ever heard an intro that great about myself. I need to get this recording and put ChatGPT to work and be like, hey, you need to duplicate what this guy said. Next time I speak somewhere, that's what I'm going to have the host read about myself.
Just copy that. That's Sadaf and I wish I could take credit for it, but it's Sadaf and the production team that do all these intros, and I really enjoy reading the bios. Sometimes, we have guests on the show, and it'll be interesting if people can figure out which ones it is. Sometimes the production team forget to rewrite the intros, and we just sort of have the standard ones. And I'm going, they're just a bit flat, aren't they? But I've not got that brain that can just sort of do it on the fly, unfortunately. So we kind of get stuck with them.
And most founders probably don't give themselves that type of grandiose, we're so in the middle of it, right? So it's like for us, just another day, right? But yeah, no, thanks for having me, man. I'm super excited.
It's great. It's great. Yeah, it is interesting actually when it comes to bios. The difference that you get. So if we have an English guest and an American guest, the difference in the way the bios are written is quite fascinating. And in America, I've always been in admiration of your ability to sort of exude confidence and be aware of what your superpowers are, whereas in Britain we're very understated. We've done okay means we've probably done 100 million in sales.
We're doing all right. Yeah, we're getting by.
We're paying the bills. It's great things. So tell me a bit about Brainpower.
Yeah, so Brainpower is an agency. So I'm actually half of the brain of Brainpower. I actually co-founded it with my business partner. His name's Camilo, and I started the agency. I have a backstory behind that got me into e-commerce. So super random fact, I actually invented the almond protein industry in 2014.
Oh wow!
Under a brand name Almond Pro. That was how I got my foot in the door with e-commerce. I started in retail, and it was just miserable, and I hated doing brick and mortar. It kind of like offended my sense of like scalability and efficiency. I was like, there's got to be an easier way to do this. I've got a website. I got to find a way to get sales there. I didn't even know what a Facebook pixel was at the time. Right. I'm not even exaggerating. I had no idea how the internet worked in terms of marketing. So I ended up the way the universe, God, how all of this stuff works, aligned me with a consultant who to this day is one of my very, very close friends. And he was like a mentor to me and kind of brought me into like direct response advertising. And he's like, before you
Right.
learn how to, before you learn anything about traffic, you need to learn the psychology of selling. So then I kind of got into direct response copywriting, offer development, did that, exited the company in 2019. And then I was sitting for like a year doing consulting, and then I just didn't want to do consulting anymore because it's like I don't want to do consulting. And then I had an opportunity to take I had an opportunity to take a potential client from, they had the team or, some in-house team, but they had been burned by an agency. And I was like, okay, it's a good brand. It was a supplement brand. I was like, I'll do it if I know somebody who just exited their agency, who was my now business partner. He had just exited his marketing agency. I was like, I'll take it on with him. So it was a great paying gig. So I was
Hmm.
like, let's do it. So he took it, and then he told me, he said, hey, I'll do the project with you, but if we're going to do it, we need to start an agency because I'm not just going to do a one-off project. And you and I work well together because we had done stuff together with Almond Pro.
Sure.
I was like, all right, so let's start an agency. And then that was kind of the intro into the agency world. And we started with one client. Then I didn't even know how to do B2B. I had no idea. So I started on Upwork, finding people, trying to find clients. And actually, ironically, one of the clients that we did an acquisition for was the first client I ever got doing cold outbound
Oh, wow.
marketing through Upwork.
Yeah.
And we helped him exit his business for 12.95 million. And when we got him, he was doing like 40, 50K a month, and we brokered that acquisition last year. So
Oh,
it's been a
wow.
crazy ride. But yeah, but now we manage. It's probably gone up a little bit, but we manage because we manage the entire ecosystem of these brands. So it's usually like online consumer brands or probably Amazon native brands that are looking to grow their D2C channel. A couple of like venture backed startups that are looking to kind of go from 0 to 100 a little bit faster than like going, than bootstrapping,
Yeah.
let's say. Um, so I see a lot of data. I see a lot of, we manage, like I said, the entire ecosystem, and we can get into like what an ecosystem is. But yeah, we're managing slightly over about $100 million in total ecosystem revenue right now. So dispersed across probably about, I think we're like 18 or 19 clients. So we're not super big. We're
Yeah.
more like what I consider boutique by choice because we
Yeah.
manage so much that we have to be very selective about the clients we take because,
Yeah. Yeah.
we're not cheap. So we have to make sure that we impact the client and that we're actually like managing the entire ecosystem properly. So yeah, that's essentially what we do. Like I said, we'll get into the nooks and crannies of what all that means because ecosystem can mean 100 different things in the e-commerce world.
Yeah.
But
No, no
yeah,
doubt.
that's
No
that's how
doubt.
I got into the space, and that's how we started. And yeah, we're 4 years deep now, and it's been great. I love the agency world. It's never thought I'd say that, but I do. I enjoy it. We have great clients too, so that
Yeah,
helps.
yeah. Well, one of the refreshing things, Colin, about what you said there is, one of the biggest criticisms people have about agency is you go to an agency, and agencies aren't cheap, but they're supposed to be experts in what they do, which is why you choose
Right.
them because the return on
Yep.
investment should be high. So you
Yep.
go to an agency. The trouble is, if you go to a good agency, they're good
Hmm.
for a reason, which means they
Yep.
attract more clients, right?
Yep.
And the good
Yep.
people then are not just doing your work, they're split across 2 people, then 3 people, then 4. And
Hmm.
all of a sudden,
Yep.
that good agency is not delivering the service that it once delivered. And you get
Yep.
more and more frustrated the bigger and better it gets. So, what I like about what you're saying is actually, no, we just choose our clients. We're still quite small, we're just expensive, but we deliver a hell
Yep.
of a punch. So, you're probably
That's
not getting
exactly
that
it.
client fatigue, I would imagine.
We don't lose clients. We
Mm.
genuinely don't lose clients. I mean, it's obviously clients, either through acquisition, they're having inventory issues, like major inventory supply chain issues. Um, I don't think in 4 years we've ever lost a client because Brainpower didn't do a good job. I
Hmm.
literally, and I don't say that like just to say it. I really don't think we ever have. This year, we have, I think we've lost one client at the beginning of the year. And
Mm.
again, like there's a very strong vetting process because we're not, it's like, it's a very cliche term to say like you're a true growth partner, but when you understand what we do at the level, and that's another reason why it's so hard for clients to replace us because we
Yeah.
manage the entire ecosystem. It's hard enough to find one really good agency in this game,
Hmm.
let alone five. And we basically replace five agencies,
Mm.
because we handle like the financial ecosystem, which is your unit economics relative to like what your marketing strategy is. And like for anybody who doesn't understand what that means, just like how do we maximize profitability through understanding what the the margin potentials are for each individual products that we sell. So it's like you might find as a client that as a brand that you like selling this one product, but it's actually your least profitable product. And the product that you're not selling as much of is actually significantly more profitable and it has a
Yeah.
higher LTV. So we do a deep dive there and then we relate that to the marketing. So you'd have to hire like somebody to do kind of like a projection analysis, right? On
Mm.
top of like the actual advertising. So it makes it harder in a good way for both parties to replace us.
Mm.
Because again, you have to replace like 5 different
Yeah.
agencies,
Yeah.
or at least email, media buying, landing pages, the whole 9 yards. We do
Yeah.
everything. So
Fantastic.
anyway, that's how it works. But yeah, the vetting process is very it takes about 3 to 4 calls before we actually
Mm.
come together with a deal. And then on top of that, it's a customized growth map. So it's not
Mm.
like everybody's getting the same. That goes against the rules of scaling a business. You want to have
Yeah.
something productized, right? I That's not what I want to do. I'm not trying to just scale. I want like it's a growth map. So you can look at your proposal and it's really just like we're going to do this. And this is also your scope of work because
Yeah.
this is what we think we need to do to get you from here to here. And the question I always ask people is, what does success look like to you? If you
Mm.
that's what happens is like with agencies, for anybody who's watching this too, because we can turn this into like a value driven conversation for people, is like when you're looking to hire an agency, you really need to, that I live in a world that is probably 80% expectation management. And
Yeah.
that's why the e-commerce world gets such a bad rap. It's because people, they sell, I always tell people, I don't sell the dream, I don't sell the Ferrari and the trip to Bora Bora. I'm
Mm.
going to tell you what I think is going to happen, how we need to get there if there's an opportunity to make that happen, and what the expectations need to be in the beginning. When I go to somebody who has no sales, no baseline data, nothing that can actually like give me insight into what the potential is for what level of growth, what level of expectations we have. The only thing I guarantee, like with a startup brand, I'm working with a pretty well-funded startup brand, and they're asking me, well, like what can we look at in terms of projections? And I say, well, the only thing that I can tell you about any projections that I would give you is that they're going to be wrong
Yeah.
because I don't know. And with that being said, the only thing I guarantee at that stage is undeniably good work. I'm going to give you great landing pages. I'm going to give you great ads. I'm going to give you great direct response copywriting. But there's a portion that most people don't factor in. It's the most important part, and that's what the market says about your product.
Yeah.
You could have the best ads, but if there's no product market fit, people don't want it. That 10% will take the 90% of your business out,
Oh, it's
because
fascinating. Yeah, we had an agency involved in one of our ecom businesses, um, and who made all kinds of claims and promises at the start.
yep,
Let me tell you, it wasn't my decision to get them involved. I'm just caveating everything right there at the start. But I was definitely involved in that. But they made all kinds of claims and promises, which I thought, I don't understand how you're going to do that, knowing what I know about the
yep,
industry, but you obviously are very confident that you can do. The trouble is, they take an experience from a previous company and just assumed it would work over in this industry over here in this market.
I
And like
wish.
you say, that's not the case. It really isn't. And I think they didn't stay with us long because they just didn't understand the market. They just didn't
Yeah.
understand the rules of engagement were
Hmm.
different.
Yep.
And granted, we were in that company's in a supplement space. So
Yep.
there's all kinds of weird and wonderful rules you have to sort of think about in that space. But yeah, it fascinated me how actually they, this sort of belief that actually I can transpose this success strategy from this market onto you and it's going to be
Yep.
fine. Well, actually, no, there's a bit more nuance to it than that, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we have like even as something as simple as a pop up, right? We'll just go with like very simple example: a pop up on a website, data collection, right? I can take the same exact pop up, change the copy, brand it to 2 different companies, and one will have double-digit opt-in rates, same delay, same
Mm.
everything. The other one will have a single-digit opt-in rate. I don't know. I don't know why it happens. I don't know. And that's it. Same thing with upsells. I can take an upsell, post-purchase upsell, take
Mm.
the exact same strategy, change the products out. It'll double digits on the conversion rate on the post-purchase upsell, single-digit conversion rate on the post-purchase upsell for brand B. So it's really, especially in this day and age, and what you said about wild claims. There's and you so there's a couple parts that you said that I was like extracting nuggets out of what you were saying. So like first of all, you said something about supplements, right? In order for an agency to make claims about a product or a service, you have to really understand what the I'm going to get into a like marketing nerd conversation here. So if you're in supplements, unless you have a very strong unique selling proposition, unless you have a very unique mechanism, something that
Mm,
people haven't seen, if you're going for paid social, let's say you're doing a paid meta advertising,
mm,
your likelihood for competing in that profitably, unless your unit economics are like, really, really, really good and the product is completely wrong, it's gonna be very tough because
yeah,
you don't have that demand creation aspect. So if you're selling ashwagandha on Facebook right now, you're going to get creamed.
yeah,
Lower average order value. So like there's so many nuances into like, oh yeah, I can do that for you. I can get you. And then the agencies are always like, oh, I get you a 4 ROAS because they had a client that did that,
yeah.
2 months ago. I have a client, the one that we helped get acquired. Uh, I won't even use him as a case study because the results were so insane that it mismanaged his expectation. I can never show somebody a 22 ROAS on
Yeah,
Facebook right now and
yeah,
then say this, I'm going to sell my service because again, expectation management.
yeah, yeah,
I showed them 22 ROAS, they're getting 3, which is still not bad in this landscape,
yeah,
but the discrepancy between those two is
yeah. It's
just not reasonable.
significant.
So yeah, anyway, the point I'm trying to make is like there's a lot of nuances to understanding like how, when you said like how are you going to do that, the product is important, the
Mm,
offer is important, the infrastructure is important. There's so many things that need to know before you can just say, oh yeah, I can get you a 4 ROAS on Facebook, like just because of ads, like,
yeah, yeah,
so good little nugget for your listeners to hear about like agency selection, because I hear it 5 times a week. I got burned by an agency, I hear
yeah,
it every week,
yeah.
every single week. So
My favorite agencies are the ones which, if I can use this language, they sell the steak, but they deliver the sizzle. I don't know if that
yeah,
translates,
yep,
right?
yeah,
And
100%.
you're just constantly surprised. You're like, well, this is what I expected, but you're delivering more. They manage
Yeah,
expectations
exactly.
really well, and I think being British, maybe I'm slightly more pessimistic or slightly more grounded
Yeah,
when people
yeah,
make all kinds of weird and wonderful claims. Um, but I do think you're right. I think you've got to manage your expectations when it comes to agency because they're not superhuman, and probably what they're telling you is true for another company in another industry. But will that
yeah.
work for you at your time in your industry, your market with your clients? I don't know. What do
Yeah,
you? So you, I mean, you mentioned things that we're getting into the weeds a little bit here, but I'm loving this.
yeah,
So
yeah.
your pop up, the same pop up that worked for one client over here with double digit return, but is only producing single digit return over here. How do you manage that process then of correcting the other one? Um,
Yeah.
what do you do there?
Usually it revolves around the offer, or what is the way that we're. So we'll have a brand, for example. We really like one thing that I think if any of your listeners are using it and they're just trying to like maybe they have a very basic Klaviyo pop up. There's a software we use called Opt-in Monster,
Hmm.
which is really really powerful. You can do like segmented pop-ups by page, and it's got all types of gamification, which we love. So one of the things that I would just recommend off the top, if you're just using a basic pop-up, use a wheel pop-up. A lot of brands don't use them because they think they look cheesy and they look
Mm,
kind of, they work. And the
mm,
gamification goes into something I coined the casino effect. Like whenever we build a landing page, whenever we build something, it has to flash, it has to move, it has to be bright. You've never walked into a casino and
mm.
seen, pale monochromatic slot
Yeah,
machine,
yeah,
right? Everything is bright. Human beings like that, and you notice it more, bright colors, things like that. So I would just recommend people using a wheel, because we do use the wheel a lot. One of the other things that we've done is like changing the way we structure an offer. So we'll keep the same wheel, but we'll change the offer. So
mm,
for example, I have a client, they sell uh, like power wheel types of cars for kids, right? So
right.
like battery powered. So that one will be, hey, spin the wheel for a chance, because it's a 700, 6, depending on the one that you choose, but it's between probably like a $5 to $1,000 average order value, right? Spin the wheel, and then you always address people. So these are some like little conversion rate nuggets that I can give too. It's like whenever you put a wheel or whenever you put a pop up, make sure you address the person. So it's like in direct response. You're capturing
Mm,
people's. It doesn't say spin for a chance to this and this and that. It says, hey, car lover, or hey, kid lover, or hey, super mom, hey,
yeah,
super dad. Like, address your people. So we'll tweak some of the copy
yeah,
around there. We might change something like that. Um, and then spin the wheel for a chance to win X. And that X needs to be your best offer. So
right.
spin the wheel for a chance to win instead of 10% off. That's not very incentivizing. say spin the wheel for a chance to win a free, Lamborghini car, right?
Mm.
So you're going to increase your opt-in rate there. If I take that on a supplement brand that has, let's say, we don't have any clients that sell ashwagandha, but I'm just using that for
Hmm.
random. If you tell somebody, hey, spin the wheel for a chance to win a free ashwagandha, and they get 10% off, right? It, it's probably not going to convert as well. So now we're talking about two different things. We're talking about opt-in conversion, but then we're talking about not just the conversion rate of the pop-up, but also the conversion rate of the offer,
Mm.
right? So that'll be really good, because now more people are going to opt in on the electronic car, the battery powered car side. But if the offer isn't good following that, or they end up getting 20% instead of the car, they'll probably use it. So that's
Yeah.
two parts. So now if we're going to another brand, we may say on the opt-in, it might not say spin the wheel for a chance. It'll say, hey, get 30% off just simply by selecting what you're here for. So it might just say like, hey, what would you like to use our products for?
Yeah.
If you're using supplements, protein, I'm here to do muscle building, I'm here to do weight loss. They
Mm.
click, it spins, you want 20% off, here's your email. And then now they got the offer, because the perceived value of that free bottle is very low.
Yeah.
So that's just one thing we might do. We might change the mechanism by which
Yeah.
people give their information. So personally, I mean, and that gets really in the weeds. Like that's just a pop up. I mean,
Yeah.
I could talk conversion rate optimization all day. But those are just some things. But if I had to just recommend for somebody who wants to just improve the performance of their base, if you're converting at single digits, 5% below,
Mm.
I look for between 8 to 10% conversion rate on a pop up.
Yeah.
We have some that are converting at like 13, 14%.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I could tell you the reason why that one does it, but behind another one, I don't know. But so just to not get everybody confused or anything, I would start, if you have a conversion, if you have a pop-up that's not working that well, start with a wheel, use a software like Opt-in Monster. That's not the only one that there is. There's plenty of them. Gamify it. Make sure the offer is good. Address your customer, and then spin the wheel for a chance to accomplish X.
Yeah.
And that traditionally we launch those, and we start with almost all of them start with high single digits, which is great baseline. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
8% is good in
Yeah,
this
it's great.
industry.
No, it is very, very good. Look,
So anyway,
I've seen the wheel thing, and I one of the things that we've been playing around with recently with a few of our ecom businesses, actually, do you ditch the pop in altogether, because everybody's used to the,
yeah.
get 10% off, give us your email
Mm-hmm.
thing, and does it really draw people in as much these days? It still converts, but is there something better? I like the wheel idea. I especially like the wheel idea if it's not cheesy. So we've thought about doing
Yep.
the wheel idea with all our products on, right? So
Okay.
spin the wheel and you'll win a product with your order or something like that. And whatever it lands on, we'll
Yep.
add that product into your shopping basket on your order or something like that. We've got to test it. What you said though, Colin, which I really am intrigued by, and I didn't think about, was actually saying, tell us why you're here. That sort of
Yeah.
little mini survey is
Mm-hmm.
incredible
Yeah.
data,
Yeah.
right? With three
Yep.
or four key questions. And I think that's a really interesting idea. So that's worth the interview already. If I'm honest with you,
Yeah,
we'll
and
test that.
I appreciate it. No, I mean, well, the thing is too, is it also minimizes the barrier to entry for somebody
Mm.
to get a prize. Like, oh, all I have to do is answer a question.
Yeah.
That's their first. That's their first. It's like a warm up question. Like I used to do lead generation back in the day, and we would do lead generation for like the big three insurance companies, right? You
Mm.
never start with a complex question. You always start with a very easy radial button. You got to get people through the process. You don't want to start asking them complex questions that they have to go look for something or think about it.
Yeah.
So it's like when you start with, hey, are you looking for health insurance? Yes or no? It's a very easy question. And the psychology of human behavior, once people start to commit, most people are more inclined to finish the process. So you
Yeah.
just want to minimize the barrier to entry, or you have a really amazing offer. Another thing you could do from an opt-in monster, to get like super like nerdy on some of the things we're doing, I like to create what are called retargeting pop-ups. So retargeting pop-ups are, let's say somebody comes to your website, they don't opt in to any of
Mm.
they don't opt into any of your pop-ups, right? And they leave. Well, like with a software like Opt-in Monster, you can retarget basically on your website people who have not opted in but who
Hmm.
are returning visitors. So what
Right.
will happen is now you know that if somebody came back They're probably interested in your product. They probably have some level of commitment to possibly buying it. So now what you do is you put it on a little delay so you don't interrupt the user experience. And then you put probably a 15-second delay, 10-second delay, and it says, hey, welcome back.
Yeah.
You're letting them know, hey, you're back. And now what you do is you give them the coupon code in that retargeting pop-up. Why? Because you're going to collect their data when they check out, and because they're more
Yeah.
prone to check out if they're here again, you're not really so worried about getting their email. You're worried about
Yeah.
getting the purchase. So you
Yeah.
just give them the discount right away. Hey, here's 15% off the
Fantastic.
purchase for being a returning customer.
Yeah.
And you can do stuff like that with other softwares. I have no affiliation with OptinMonster. I've been using it for like 7 years.
This is where OptinMonster sales just go through the roof. What the bloody hell's happening here?
Plot twist. This is sponsored by OptinMonster.
We should give them a ring. OptinMonster, you should probably sponsor this podcast. That's awesome, man. I really like that. There's some great nuggets there, man. And
for sure.
It's interesting. I mean, you obviously get excited by this kind of stuff. I mean, you're talking about it with a great deal of passion. You just love the whole thing.
I love it. I love it. I've been doing it for years, and I like the idea of being able to strategize things in a way that makes people more inclined to purchase has always fascinated me. That's why I love direct response. And, I think that I like to walk. I always say that, like, when I'm talking to my team or anything about like marketing, when we're doing ads, I always say like there's a very thin line between marketing and BSing.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to walk a very like right in the middle, where it's like you're not BSing people. You're making it's not manipulation. It's just retention. You're retaining people's attention. Like, how do you keep people's attention without bullshitting them? Like, to me, that is like a really amazing craft to be able to have. So I've always been super fascinated with it, and I'm a total nerd about this. I do it all day, every day. There's a book called Breakthrough Advertising. If anybody wants to read a book that'll knock their socks off,
Breakthrough Advertising.
Breakthrough Advertising.
I'll add that to my little list.
Yeah, it's a dense book.
I'm reminded of listening to you talk, Colin. I'm reminded of something Zig Ziglar is attributed in saying, and Zig Ziglar is probably my hero in sales. I grew up in the so my career started, I suppose, in the early 90s, and Zig Ziglar was, used to buy his stuff from Nightingale, Caulen on teaching tapes, if you remember those days. Showing my age a little bit, but he said something that sales is nothing more than telling the truth attractively. And I think it's just listening to you talk, it's just reminding me of that actually that's what you're trying to do. You're presenting the truth in a very attractive manner, as attractive as possible.
I couldn't have said it better, honestly. That's better than what I said. Yeah, that's a great. It's true. And like, even when I'm selling my services, it's really. I always say I'm not a salesperson. I'm a consultant that has services. I don't look at myself as a sales guy. I handle pretty much all the transactions that come through our agency, right? Because I have to vet the brands. So that was actually my functional role before I moved into the CEO role with my business partner. I was director of brand selection. That was my functional role at our business. Was like, I have to skew the product, review the products, make sure we're working with brands or products that have the assets that we need to actually perform our services properly. So that you said it great, and I love it. I'm obsessed with it. It changed my life, honestly. I own the domain marketingchangedmylife.com. I haven't put any use to it yet.
You should definitely start a podcast. Start a podcast and a newsletter. Call it marketingchangedmylife.com. I'd subscribe to that.
That's what it's there for. I just haven't, I'm busy. I'm a busy guy. And then that's an excuse, but it'll get there. It's coming.
Fair play. So what was the name of that book? Breakthrough
Advertising. So fun fact, it was written by a guy named Eugene Schwartz in 1964. And the crazy part is, if you read the book, it's the holy grail of direct response advertising. And it talks about some really, really high level stuff that I use every day. And it was written in 1964, and it's actually more pertinent now than it was when it was in 1964. That's how much of a visionary this guy was. And the way we run ads is, our strategy is rooted in that book. We have a matrix that we've built on how to run like UGC, how we do the book was written for 2024 and beyond, but it was written in 63, 64. Wow. And it just talks about some really, really advanced concepts. It's dense. I'm not kidding you, I've read the book probably about 10 times. It's not short either. And every time I read it, I get a new nugget. I just damn, that's so good. It's so sweet. And, if anybody wants to get a little like something to look into it on that. It's like the golden nugget out of that book. It's the the portion of the book that talks about customer awareness and sophistication. And that's a 30-minute conversation about how impactful it is, but it's like how you advertise your product is relative to like where the customer is psychologically when it comes to your product. So like one little nugget from it is if you're doing paid advertising, let's say you have a product. I hear this a lot. It's like, I have a great product but nobody knows about it, right? So that means that your audience is problem aware and they're solution unaware. That right there is a really golden nugget when I'm doing product analysis on what brands I want to work with. If I have a brand that like they have a really new mechanism, they have a new, they have something new, there's a formula I use for choosing winning products. But the one of them is like, how aware is the audience? Because if you're selling razors or water, your audience their awareness and sophistication is very high. So you have to market differently. And the book tells you based on whether they're problem aware, solution unaware, problem unaware, solution unaware. It breaks it down and it tells you how to market every single one. And
Wow.
it's true as daylight. I mean, it never fails. Like if you're in a commoditized industry like coffee, for example, right? You're problem aware, you're solution aware, and they're what's their level of sophistication? They're very sophisticated. You're not going to sell me something about coffee that I don't already know, right?
Yeah.
I've heard it all. Same thing about water. So what do? You create a Liquid Death or a Black Rifle coffee company. You go after the audience. You go after your messaging. You don't go after the offer. You don't go after, the features and benefits. And the book literally tells you that. And if you look at any of the brands that have done that in competitive and highly sophisticated markets, that's what they all do. And I'm telling you, best chapter in the book, and it's probably going to take you 45 minutes to read it. And I use it every day. So that's a little nugget for that.
Well, it's on my reading list. I'm flying over to the States next week, so I need a few things to read on the plane. I was talking to Jared Krause on the podcast recently, and he, well, in fact, I say recently, it was today. We recorded Jared Krause's podcast earlier, but it's probably come out like a week or two before this one. And talking with Jared about the principles of old school marketing being perhaps the most important thing, because everyone's looking for the silver bullet in e-commerce. I've never seen anything like it, the latest trick or the latest gimmick or something. But what I like about this is you're talking about a book written in the 1960s. I mean, that's old school, right?
Yeah. And I've said this. I have a presentation. I'm speaking at some event in New York called Retail Summits. It's a really cool event if anybody wants to go. And you see this podcast before June 27th, you can message me on LinkedIn or something. I have a free ticket for it as long as you have a brand. But anyway, I'm speaking at this event. And one of the things that I always say in this presentation is the biggest problem with digital marketing, modern digital marketing, is there's too much digital and not enough marketing. everybody's
I love it.
Everybody's focused on the platforms. I can tell you 10 to 20% of what your marketing problems are exist in the platform. The rest is the rest of the ecosystem. Your margins are bad. Your messaging is bad. Your offers are bad. That's really where the problems are. I look in ad accounts with my team 15 times a week, and the problem isn't the ads. The problem, or maybe that's not always true. There are very terrible media buying or ad buying companies out there. Like, they just don't do good work. They're not following best practices. That's a whole different discussion on best practices. But, you put crap in, you're going to get crap out. That's just the reality. And the crap that most people are putting in is just crappy marketing. There's no strategy. It's like you've read all the Facebook, the Meta platform rules or best practices, but you haven't read any of the best practices when it comes to marketing. And that's fundamentally what we're in. We're still in a marketing game. You're not in a meta game. That is just the mechanism that drives your message. So too much digital, not enough marketing, no offer structure, not knowing how to create value in offers is one of the single biggest killers increases in acquisition costs, because we're in a demand creation game. You have to be able to create offers. So,
let's talk about that a sec if we can, because as we're talking, I had a conversation with someone earlier this week. They had 300 or 400 signups a month through their pop-up, right? But the conversion rate through that pop-up was really low. So people went to their website, they had the pop-up, they signed up to the 10% off or 20% off, whatever it was, and hardly any of them were converting. And as you're talking, and as I'm remembering that conversation, there's obviously going to be a reason for that connected to their marketing, connected to their offer. So
Yep.
how do you structure something like that? What are some of the thought processes you go through?
So I love offers. I'm a huge offer nerd. So it's so funny because, Alex Hormozy, everybody knows who Alex Hormozy is. He wrote a
Mm.
book, $100 million offers. For years, it
Great
was,
book. Great book.
yeah, it is a great book. And it's so funny because a couple years before he even released that book, I had thought of, there needs to be a book on offers.
Yeah.
His is more like is really relevant in the B2B space,
Yeah,
or
it
like the
is.
direct
Yeah.
response kind of thing, coaching, things like that.
Hmm.
Consumer goods is a little different, but he's got some nuggets in there too. But I had wanted to put out something, or think of, like, there's got to be something that creates offers. I found this book called How to Create Irresistible Offers, and it's old. It's an old book. But I got some nuggets out of it. But so the first thing that we need to understand when you create an offer is, when people think of offers, the first thing they tend to go to is discount. Like, that's
Yeah.
that's my go-to. My offer is a discount. But typically, offers aren't really rooted in price. Like, a great offer is not necessarily rooted in price, it's rooted
Yeah.
in value. So most people don't buy things, not because of the price, it's because of the lack of perceived value that they have
Yeah.
associated with that price. So one of the main ways that you can increase perceived value, that I actually learned from a gentleman named Perry Belcher. Shout out to him, 'cause he taught me a lot. But one of the things is free gifts with purchase, where we call it
Yeah.
free premium, and you can really leverage those to dramatically reduce customer acquisition costs. That's, like, if we're talking about reducing CAC, that is one of the tools that we use. And the way you do it, a free premium, what goes into first, you have to understand what goes into a free gift, right?
Hmm.
A free gift with purchase is not always, it's not necessarily the perceived value. That's one component of it, but it's also perceived utility. Like,
Right.
can I actually use this? So we worked with a pet brand that was selling cat products, and we found online a little cat purse, a little cat shaped purse. It was on Alibaba. It was like 47 cents, and it
Yeah.
was a coin purse. And we knew the avatar of the audience was probably, they were targeting older women. They probably still
Hmm.
used, traditional currency, right?
Yeah.
That was the logic. And we added that to that offer that we were running. And I mean, it was like a vertical line. It was just insane, the impact and the cost, the perceived value of price of it. We put a $9.99 price on it.
Yeah.
Now the product that we were selling for $50 had a perceived value of $60, because we associated that $9.99 price with
Yeah.
the products that we were selling. But more importantly, it had utility to the
Yeah.
client, to the customer. When I had Almond Pro, my brand, I was probably one of the first people to probably do a free frother with your purchase. This is 2015. So I created an instant latte product, and the free gift with purchase was a free latte. I mean,
Yeah.
a free frother with your instant latte product. And the reason why that was so good is because it had great utility, because it went well with the product, right?
Hmm.
But more importantly, it was like, I always like to say, a good free premium should be a product that people would love to have, but they don't want to spend money on. Everybody would
Yeah.
love to have a frother, but nobody wants to buy one. Who really wants to go and buy a frother for 15 bucks on
Hmm.
on Amazon? But if it comes with the product that you're already interested in,
Right.
now you're like, well, now I get the free frother. We did it with the supplement brand, where we did, actually, the client that we had, that the name of the company is Organic Muscle, the supplement brand that we first worked with. Those, like, tornado bottles that
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you can, like, press a button and they spin. They have a
Spin
little
around
plastic
and they mix all
spin
the
around, right?
protein powders. Right.
The cost on those things on Alibaba, it's like $3, three or
Hmm.
$4, but the perceived value is 20. So if you were ordered a free pre-workout, if you ordered a pre-workout, you got a free tornado bottle that's
Hmm.
valued at $20. So now that $40, 34, whatever, I think it was $40, $39. The $40 offer has now turned into a $60 offer that you're getting for 40, plus you're not getting a traditional shaker bottle. You
Yeah.
probably wouldn't go buy a tornado bottle on Amazon for $20, but if someone's going to give you one for free, you're like, wow, that's a good offer. And in our industry, especially supplements, you don't really try and outmarket your competitors. You try and out offer your competitors,
Right.
because everybody, again, the sophistication level is high. It goes back to Eugene Schwartz. The sophistication level on pre-workouts is very, very high. So what are you going to do to compete, right? And but he had a different type. So the point is like, we have perceived value of the free gift. We have, and then find other ways to add perceived value. Another good nugget is digital gift cards. A digital gift card is literally a way of saying $10 off, but it's positioned in a way where you create a graphic. You can literally get one off of
Hmm.
Shutterstock of an image. You just go on Canva, Photoshop your logo on it, off of, or you don't even, AI does it now. I don't even know. Look at that, showing my age. I'm still talking about
Yeah.
Shutterstock. I need to catch up on AI. You can literally go on AI and create, hey, here,
Hmm.
create a digital gift card. You can download it. That $10 goes towards their next purchase. So
Hmm.
now when you value stack it, you've got a free gift for $10. You've got free shipping, which is worth
Yeah.
another $10, and
Hmm.
you've got a free a free gift card, which is another $10.
Yeah.
If you're selling a $40 product, you just have you now have a $70 bundle for
Yeah.
$40. You don't have a
Yeah.
$40 product. So now
Yeah.
the perceived value is higher. So like when it comes to offers, that's our strategy for the most part. What we like to do is find low moving SKUs that have high margins and high utility, and then couple it with the hero offer. So if you're
Hmm.
selling products on your website, you got most brands have a hero product that they've scaled their business with.
Hmm.
Be like, hey, you got this product. Um, we've done it with a pet brand, another pet brand. They were selling salmon oil, and they had this paw balm, like for like chapstick for like your dog's
Okay.
paws,
Yeah.
and it wasn't moving. They weren't selling much of it, but it had utility. People probably wouldn't want to buy it on their own. They weren't, because it wasn't really moving.
Yeah.
But when we combine that as a free gift with the salmon oil, again, immediate lift. I'm talking within 12 hours from the
Hmm.
time we launch it, lift, vertical. So that's how we create great offer. And then if you can add a discount on top of it, I mean, now you're really getting into the
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
of like really
Yeah.
massive value creation. But you
Yeah.
need great margins to be able to do all this. So that's, believe it or not, the short version of how to create great offers.
No,
But
it's
that's
super powerful, and I mean, one of the things I took away from Alex's book was his little value formula, wasn't there? The sort of perceived
yeah.
value, the
Yes.
time
Yep.
taken to achieve the results, and the cost and all that
Yes.
sort of stuff. And I thought it was a great
Yep.
little formula, and I love what you're doing because you're bringing that into a digital world, and you're saying, "Well, this is some of the
Yeah.
stuff that you can do." And I'm smiling as you're saying all these different things, like the digital cards. I remember one time we did an offer on our beauty website that we had at the time, whereby if you spent, I can't remember what it was, but yeah, the gift with purchase was a candle, a Christmas candle, because it was around Christmas.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Christmas
Yeah. Yeah.
candle we put on the site like £35 to
Yeah.
buy
Yeah.
it, and it was all nicely gift wrapped.
Yep.
And if you spent 35 quid or more, you got this candle for free, and it cost us like
Hmm.
£3 to get it manufactured by the same people that
Yep.
made. They used to at the time make Joe Malone candles. I don't know if they still, but
Yep.
still do.
Yep.
So it's really good quality candle. No one's going to spend 35 quid on a candle because bloody hell, that's
Of course
expensive,
not.
right? But again, utility and value is really fascinating. I remember going to IKEA on Christmas. Again, I thought it was the most intriguing idea, and we used this in the same business actually. But basically, you went to IKEA. If you bought a Christmas tree from them, they ran this offer that a Christmas tree was £70. They would give you a £70 voucher to spend in store. But when you looked at the terms and conditions of it was like you had a week, and it was
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
their
Yeah. Yeah.
really quiet week. Do you know what I mean? Sort of post sale.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But as long as you went in during that week, you could spend it. And we thought that's a bloody clever idea. So we did this
It's
voucher
super.
offer where you bought something, you got the vouchers. I think it was like a starter pack. If you bought the starter pack for 10 quid, which cost me
Yep.
nothing, by the way, because I got
Yep.
all the
Yep. Yep.
samples from the
Yep.
brands. We gave you a
Yep.
£10 voucher, but you had to spend it in a certain time frame. It was
Yes.
unbelievable. We had thousands of
Yeah.
those, shipped out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
And like you said, it's great for incentivizing the purchase too. Because now instead of now, like for what we do on the post purchase side, if we do a free digital gift card, right? We'll put an expiration.
mhm,
It won't be a date expiration because you can't, because it's not dynamic enough, right? But you can put a
yeah,
time, must be used within 30 days, right, on the
yeah,
bottom of the card. And then now your LTV, your email, hey, your gift card's about to expire.
yeah,
That's a subject line, and that subject line gets opened because
yeah,
people are like, and if they forgot what gift card,
yeah,
hey, a reminder, hey, as a reminder, with your last purchase, you got a $15 credit towards to spend
yeah,
here.
yeah.
And then you can do some really nerdy stuff with that. My email guy is a beast with that, segmenting it based on products so that it's linear to what they bought.
Hmm.
You can get really, I mean, that's when you're getting into like kind of like bigger, you're really getting granular to make sure that you're
Yeah,
making the most out of it.
getting
But
proper
but
nerdy.
but yeah, for sure. But even just generic, you can say, hey, your gift card's about to expire, or your
Mm.
$20 is about to expire. That gets opened because people don't want to lose money ever. you know?
That's
So,
awesome.
so that's how we do, offer development. Is those are some of our, we got a couple other ones that I'm sure if I thought of, but off the top of
No,
your
that's
brain.
great. Can I please encourage you to write the book, $100
Yeah,
million offers for digital brands
I,
or something?
you know, well, the funny thing is I have the title and I was going to say it, but I was like, you know what? I like the title. I don't want to give it up yet. You know, I don't want somebody else to go do it. I already had Hormozy jump on the offer train before I did. And, you know, we saw what that did for him. So I got the title name already. I'm
Yeah.
keeping it close. I'm keeping
No,
it close.
fantastic. Well, do send me when you write it. Send me a copy.
Yeah,
Come
yeah,
back on the show
yeah.
and we'll talk about it.
For
But
sure.
no, that's brilliant. Listen, Colin, I'm aware of time and it is flying by at a million miles an hour. But let me ask you a question if I can. This is where we do the question for Matt section on the show. This is
Okay.
where I ask you for a question. I'm not going to answer it now. I'm going to answer it on social media. So if you want to know the answer to the question, dear listener, then you have to follow me on social media to find the answer out. But yes, Colin, if you could ask me, and it can be about anything, it really can. What would the question be?
You know, I think I have a good one. And it would probably be around, I'm going to bring it around to marketing. And I have an idea of what the question is. I'm just trying to think of a way to word it. Because I think about this all the time, which is like, if I knew what I knew now when I had Almond Pro, my first brand,
Mm-hmm.
I could have scaled that brand heavy. I could have gone a lot further than I did.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's multiple reasons for why I know that. So, what is it that you know now that you wish you knew before when you got into the marketing game?
Very good. And I instantly know the answer to. Oh, yes. Fantastic. That's a great question. If you want to know how I'm going to answer that, make sure you follow me on social media. Just go find me at Matt Edmondson. You'll find me on LinkedIn or the usual channels, Instagram and all that sort of stuff. Colin, listen, super enjoyed the conversation, man. Thanks for bringing so much value. You're an absolute legend. Really appreciate you being on the show. If people want to find out more about you, about BrainPower, if they want to connect, reach out, what's the best way to do that?
LinkedIn, I'm active. I post daily on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find because, like you and I discussed, my name is spelled pretty much different than any other Caulen. So if you just type in Caulen and then my last name Foster, which is spelled normal, I should pop right up. That's the best way to get in touch with me.
Fantastic. Well, we of course link to everything of Colin's in the show notes. But legend, what a legend you are, my friend. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. And absolutely, it's great to meet you. Oh, no, brilliant.
Likewise, brother.
Brilliant. Well, there you go. Another fantastic conversation. Huge thanks again to Caulen, spelt very differently, for joining me today. Also, be sure to follow the e-commerce podcast wherever you get your podcasts from, because we've got some more great conversations lined up, and I don't want you to miss any of them. And in case no one has told you yet today, let me be the first. You are awesome. Yes, you are. Created awesome. It's just a burden you have to bear. Colin's got to bear it. I've got to bear it. You've got to bear it as well. Now, the e-commerce podcast is produced by PodJunction. You can find our entire archive of episodes on your favorite podcast app. The team that makes this show possible is the beautiful, talented Sadaf Bainon and Tanya Hutzlak. Our theme song was written by Josh Edmondson. And as I mentioned, if you'd like to read the transcript or show notes, you can find them on the website ecommercepodcast.net. But that's it from me. That's it from Caulen. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic week wherever you are in the world. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.